You can only imagine the thousands of questions that beg to be answered after so many years. A family torn apart long ago, separated by time and distance and two very different ways of life, has a lot of ground to cover, some of it very painful. What had happened that terrible day in 1975? Can they ever recapture the time that's been lost? The dramatic conclusion of the long journey home.
To celebrate the children's homecoming, Heather and Jason's parents prepared the finest meal they could offer. One of only 2 pigs they possessed was slaughtered. The meat roasted over open fires in the kitchen and served on tables pushed together on the porch. The entire village turned out to see the children who had been lost. Curious friends and neighbors by the hundreds pressed forward around the tables in the house, standing quietly for hours, as if observing aliens from another planet. For long hours under a dim electric bulb, the family tried to fill in the missing years, complicated by the constant need for a translator.
Jason,
is that you? Good looking.
so you do have pictures of me.
What have you found?
Jason and me, when we were just little kids.
Jason's one overriding question was an example of how much there was to learn. He didn't know how old he was. Jason, did you find the answer?
I finally found the answer. It was ranging from 24 to 30, but I finally found I was born in October 11th, 1967. So I wasn't too far off.
Okay.
Right now, I'm 24.
For the first time, Heather and Jason were able to tell their parents what had happened to them when the family was split apart by the war.
I think it was really hard on them. They had no idea what happened to us. My mother took it really hard.
But it was Heather's father who carried the biggest burden. He described his own agony.
I searched for you every day for 3 years. I looked for your bodies in the jungle. I thought you were all dead.
Heather and Jason learned their father was left so despondent he had attempted suicide, blaming himself for losing 3 of his children. Fearful, they thought he had abandoned them.
That was never even a thought in my mind in the last 17 years. And to me, that was a jab in my heart.
The bureaucracy of the Vietnamese government caught up with the Schrader children the first day. They could not obtain permission to spend the night in their parents' home. The region was not safe from bandits, they were told. Heather's mom broke down.
I've waited all these years to see my children, and now they have to go.
To tell my parents that I couldn't spend the night at their home was really hard for me to let them know that. It's like there was so much to talk about, and we're just running out of time.
It had been a day of painful discoveries, but the biggest shock was the impact that 17 years of poverty had taken on their Asian family. Hard outdoor labor had aged their once prosperous father beyond his 61 years. Their quality of living was low even by third world standards. Their mother prepared the family's meals in a dirt-floored kitchen. There was no indoor plumbing. The 3 sisters they played with as kids showed the strain of life in Vietnam. Everyone works hard just to survive. Brother Tao is 17. He was forced to drop out of school after the 9th grade to help his father feed the family. 14-year-old Kong, the youngest, will have to quit school this year to do the same thing. With the vast cultural gap between life in America and what you've seen here, the life of your parents, has it made it better or worse for you to come and see this?
And now I see what my parents have been living through for 17 years, and my brothers and sisters, and I'm a little bit ashamed of myself for not really looking back more and reflecting on where I came from.
Do you think of the riddle of what if another child had been grabbed in the rush of war and you had been left behind?
I do. I realize I could be the one tending the fields out here, and my brother could be the one attending a university.
What bothers me the most is not being able to share the life that I have with him.
Back at the family home the following day, it was time to play a videotape brought from America, an effort to bridge the gap of a generation the parents had missed. They watched home movies of the three children, frozen in time at an age when they left Vietnam.
That's Jason.
Oh, yes, that's right.
How old was he here?
This is when I was 7, 8.
Just right after we came to the States. Jenny.
The parents got their first look at daughter Jenny, transformed from a 3-year-old toddler to a grown woman. They sat transfixed.
I know that my parents were full of pride.
They're show-offs. They're showing off for their grandpa.
Ouch! Hi, Grandma and Grandpa.
Heather, anxious to show that she too had once spoken the Vietnamese language, produced an old tape recording made when she was a child, singing in Vietnamese.
To look into their eyes and to know that we just never left their heart.
Their time together was brief. Jason had Army orders to report for duty. The reunion was about to be followed by another separation. But the reunion had served a vital purpose. A family spirit was rekindled. Despite their tears, they all knew this was the beginning, not the end.
How difficult is it for you to leave?
I didn't think it would be difficult, but I guess it is very difficult. And I think I've been cheated out of 17 years with my father and with my family.
I have already made a promise to my sisters that they are my blood, and I am not going to forget them. Next year I will. I feel like I've lost just an important part of childhood. If I was able to tell my mother this, I would tell her that I wish I could just erase all of the pain that she went through. She's still my mom, and I know that I am still her daughter. I would be thinking of you every day.
Tôi suy nghĩ tới bác hàng ngày.
I'm too personal.
Gladly walk across the desert with no shoes upon my feet to share with you the last bite bread I had to eat. I would swim out to save you in your sea of broken dreams. When all your hopes are sinking, let me show you what love means. Love can.
Just to see how much hurt that those eyes hold, it really broke my heart. I feel guilty for leaving them behind. When the plane took off and knowing that a big part of me is left behind, and that just gave me a stronger determination to make future trips. This is part of me. No matter what, I will come back. I will be back.
An incredible story, Tom. And when we come back, Tom is going to tell us what's happened since that emotional reunion. Don't go away. Tom, what a great payoff for that family after 17 years of determined effort. I think a lot of people might be wondering why they don't make efforts to get their family out of Vietnam, get them to the United States.
Hugh, their reaction was, we have so much in the United States, they have so little in Vietnam. They wanted to give everything they had. But they're facing some real problems. Difficult may be the best word to describe Vietnam. Immigration for family members, for example, would be extraordinarily difficult. And by the way, the senior members of the family, the father and mother, don't want to leave Vietnam. They want to stay where their roots are.
That's where their life is, yeah.
Communications are virtually impossible. They don't have telephones as we have them. The banking system to send them money is non-existent.
So they can't
to send them money, for example, in the mail, they worry that the cash would be stolen.
Yeah.
There are limits the government sets on the amount of currency that can go into Vietnam.
Now,
everything is difficult.
Sure, I can see that. Do they have any plans to go back again and visit again?
They certainly are. They have come a long way, and they're looking now forward rather than backward in their family history. They're planning a trip early next year, and they're planning annual trips. I'm sure that the children and the grandchildren will be going. Young Tyler will be going back when he understands more. The baby who was nursing his mother traveled.
And as at this moment, they're happy and at this holiday season?
They are very much so. We checked into recently with them at the home outside Denver, and they were doing as most of us, many of us are, putting up Christmas decorations, preparing for Christmas. Here's Heather and Tim and baby Tyler getting ready for the Christmas season. So special it has to be this year. After such a long separation, so many doubts, so many issues resolved, that they can now put it behind them. And the greatest gift of all, knowing that alive on the face of the earth in Vietnam, they have found this family that was split apart by war, and they know very well that eventually they'll be back together.
Marvelous for them. How did you feel when you were making that? Did you you got caught up in it?
It was very inspiring. These people are so from the heart. Yeah. I mean, they love each other so deeply that it just comes through that way.
It's a great
And it was, on a personal note, an extraordinary privilege, Hugh, for all of us to have had a chance to do this.
I bet it is.
We thank them. We wish them the very best of luck.
It's something to be able to watch it.
Certainly was an honor.
Thank you, Tom. We'll be right back.